All right, everybody. Got Coach Payne here. Go ahead and open it up for questions. Russ, go ahead and start us out.
Yeah, hi, Kenny.
How we doing?
Oh, pretty good, I think. I was going to ask you how you're doing, considering the kind of season you've had. What are your thoughts and emotions going into this last game? Is there any sense of relief, even, or what do you think?
Beef? No. For me, Russ, it's about these kids. Um, for me, it's also about not giving up on them. I love them as young men. My job is every single day they're looking at me for leadership. If I show them that I've given up, am I truly a leader? The answer is no. Everybody talks about leadership. Everybody talks about all these things when you're over a program or you're over a corporation. My question is, you truly should be judged by when things are bad. And the people that work for you or the people that you're leading, do they believe that you believe in them? And the answer to that question is I do believe in them. And probably to the point where you could easily say I may be delusional. But every single day, I'm coming into work and saying, I'm pushing you to figure it out. Today may be the day. Right, wrong, and indifferent. That's what I'm doing every single day. And I hope that these young men understand that I love them, I care about them, and that until the day the season is over, I'm believing that they can do this. So
Thanks, Kenny.
Brooks Holton, go ahead. Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get to you.
Hey, Kenny, just wanted to ask about, I just wanted to ask about Manny. He was wearing a boot before the game Tuesday, but I saw him, I saw some video of him going through drills pregame. I'm just wondering what the chances that he plays Saturday are, and then if not, then at the ACC tournament.
Well, he's day to day from what I know. Medical staff is saying he's day to day. I know he wants to play. I just don't want to put him in a position where he's out there at 60, 70%. Is that really fair to him? No, it's not. So I want him to feel good about being on the court. He's worked really hard to get back to this point. I know he's close. We'll see, between him and the medical staff. We'll sit down and talk and see when he's ready to go.
Jody Demling, go ahead.
Kenny, when you look at the other night with the lineup, when Fabio played the other night, he gave you something. I think you said that after the game. You've talked about Hershey and Fabio a lot this year, and at different times they've each given you a little bit. And how do you, as you go into this final few games, do you try to give Fabio some more time with what you saw the other night, or what is that dependent on, I guess, now?
It's dependent on the preparation, practices. It depends on what he can comprehend, what we're doing, the schemes and what we're doing, the plays and what we're doing, what he knows and what he doesn't know. It depends on, to be honest with you, um, academics. It depends on who's on time to tutors, who's on time to strength coach, um, all of those things. So I'm evaluating every single thing that all of them are doing and saying, okay, this leads to something. So you're not going to tell me that you're going to be late to a strength coach and then be on time to know the plays or play a certain way, or it's all discipline, man. Like, I'm forcing these young men to come out of their comfort zone, to play a certain way, um, to be responsible not just for themselves but for their teammates. There's no rocket science to that, and you got to show me that you're willing to sacrifice for team, and I'll reward you with playing time. You deserve it. If not, you'll sit.
Matt McGavick, go ahead.
Hey, Kenny. So when talking about the energy and effort issues that you guys have had this season. You've mentioned that there are a couple guys, not everyone, but a couple guys on this team that don't seem to, as you say, understand what it's like to don the Louisville uniform and things like that. Is there something that, like, looking back on this season, is there something that maybe you can alter with your own approach to try and get these kids to maybe understand that a little bit deeper and use that to kind of play with more energy and effort? Or, in being quite blunt, is it come up to maybe you have to have some uncomfortable conversations once the season ends?
It'll be a little bit of all of that. You know, for me and my approach, I'm doing this out of love. I'm not doing this based on me. I'm doing this based on a group of people that are all on one team that should have one common goal, and that's to play for each other, to play for these fans here, to play for this university, and play for your families, to be honest with you. And so it's not about me, it's about all the other factors and all the other people that are impacted by your decisions. So I want them to understand what it means to play at this university. I want them to understand the responsibility of being a winning basketball player at the University of Louisville. I want them to understand that long before them, there were players that came through, and there are millions of players that live with regret when they're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old because they did not do the things it took or did not take advantage of the opportunities that they have in front of them. This is not the real world when, you know, we're providing you with shoes, we're giving you NIL money, we're giving you gear, we're giving you food, we're taking care of every single thing in your life for you to be comfortable so that you can go out and be your best. Well, you better respect that.
Tim Sullivan, go ahead.
Tim?
There, Tim. You're muted. Can't get you, Tim. All right, look, we'll come back to you, see if you can get it. You're muted right now. Are there any other questions?
Come on, we got to have some more questions
I'm
somewhere.
sure there are more questions. Matt, go ahead.
Obviously, you recently played Virginia about 2-3 weeks ago, and Virginia, as of late, hasn't been playing their best basketball when you look at how they were performing the first 2 months of the season. What is that you're seeing in that short time that you've played Virginia? Like, why they might be not playing as efficiently as they were earlier in the season?
I wish I could. Are they still ranked in the top 10?
13.
Okay, so they're still one of the top 15 teams in the country. I can't sit here and tell you that they're not still playing as well as they played before. I can tell you that they're really good on both sides of the ball. I can tell you they control tempo, which makes the game harder. I can tell you that when you make mistakes defensively and offensively, they're going to burn you. They're well coached. They're experienced. They have a great point guard that distributes. They have every ingredient that it takes, and they're playing for something huge. I love this part of it. They're playing for first place in this conference, so they cannot afford to come in here and overlook us. They have to give us our best, their best. I want to win the game when they're at their best. I don't want to win the game when people are saying they're down or they took us for granted or no. They can't. They can't afford to do that. So they have to come out and play great basketball and play intense basketball. And I want to see where we are. Really that simple.
Russ, go ahead.
Yeah, Kenny, you just mentioned about what Virginia has at stake here. What about your club? What do you tell them about what's at stake? And then one other quick question that goes along with Virginia. Does it get you played your team played Virginia one of the toughest games they've ever had against Louisville? Does that give you optimism going into the game Saturday?
No, it does not, to be honest with you. For me, is day to day. And I can't look back at the way we played them the last time, other than say when you were locked in and you were focused, look what you created. Like, you have to look at that and say, all right, this is what we did when we were pretty good. I need you to be that way again. Now, we won't know that until we're in the game. I think we've proven that we can be very inconsistent. So I can't go and say I can live off what we did against that in that Virginia game. What was the other part of your question?
I think I've forgotten. No.
Okay, so you asked
No,
about
I was,
you asked about what do we look for, like what are we playing for?
yeah, at stake. Yeah, good.
Yeah. So here's what I'll tell you, and this is a part of being a leader, a true leader, is that like I need momentum going into the ACC tournament. And what a great way to get that momentum by knocking off one of the best teams in the country. And then going into the ACC tournament where now everybody's 0-0, um, you know, and we get momentum. And what happens if we can surprise a couple people? Like, I have to believe that. I'm not a coach or a person that if I don't believe it, I can't say it. I'm not that type of guy. I have to believe in what I'm doing. I have to believe that we're capable of doing this. And it's an opportunity for us to get momentum. It's an opportunity for us to get something going into the ACC tournament that leads us to play a certain way. But at the end of the day, like, I'm forcing these kids to think different. You know, they're looking at me, and at times I can see it. They're like, do you really believe we can win? Because they may not believe. Well, I'm telling them I believe, and I want them to believe as well. Hopefully that answers your question.
Let's go Gary Graves next.
Hey, Kenny, you talked about the players, helping them understand what it's like, being on that bench. You as a coach, what is your learning process been like this year? Being a first-year head coach, and who have you tapped into to try to get a different perspective?
Um, you know, it's been a very, very big learning experience for me because I've only been around pretty much winning situations, right? And so um, I've had a lot of success being a part of staffs that have won. And I try to take those experiences. And there's one thing that I go back to um, that I can take away. The common denominator in that is that every one of those winning situations I was in, it wasn't about the X's and O's. It was the personality of the young men that we were coaching. It was what they were playing for. It was the confidence that they had. It was the fight, the drive, the character. Um, and so as I look at this, it helps me understand like winning is very, very hard. And you can only do it, sustain doing it by getting the right type of personalities and the right type of families in here um, that are like-minded, where winning is important to them. For me, the process has been, I find myself, and I try not to look at myself in the games, but I see myself holding my head, grabbing my neck, wanting to choke. There's a lot of emotions that I go through that I've never experienced before, um, because I'm frustrated and I don't want to coach frustration out of frustration. I want to coach and be happy and cheering the guys on. I don't want to have to yell and scream and fight and kick and I'm having to do that and I'm okay doing it But in a perfect world, you want guys to understand what you want. You want them to fight knowing that you're fighting with somebody. I don't want you to feel like it's you against your coach. It's not. But I feel like at times I have to be, um, I'm coaching at times and I'm frustrated, to be honest with you. And that's not how I want to coach.
Got time for a couple more. Tim was having problems unmuting, but he wanted to ask if you've seen comments from Florida State and Clemson about changes to ACC revenue sharing, if you have any concerns about the stability of the conference.
I do not have any concerns about the stability of our conference. I think Jim Phillips is doing a great job. I had not heard about the comments from Florida State. He said Clemson as well. Look, we have a great conference, and we just got to keep building on what we got here and go from there with it. I mean, it's one of the best conferences historically in the whole country. I know things are changing. I'm sure we'll catch up with the times if we are behind. I don't see us being behind, but you know, it's all to me a little bit of perception in this as well.
Last question from Jody Denlin.
Kenny, Virginia, as you mentioned, Virginia makes good teams look bad on offense. What's the biggest key when you're going against them? What has to happen for any team to be successful against what they do?
I think one, you have to be willing passers. I think that what happens if you think that you're going to just take 2 or 3, 4 dribbles and drive the ball and go score, you're delusional. They are really good at protecting the paint. They call it, pack line defense. They're really good at that. They've always been good at that. His father was really good at that. So it's difficult to play against that if you're not willing to be patient, if you're not willing to share the ball, if you're not willing to shoot the ball when you're open, then you'll have problems. But if you keep the ball moving and you move their bodies and put them in rotations, there will be opportunities there. But again, now they're well coached. It's a reason why they're one of the best teams in the country. And they're good at what they do. On the other side of the ball, they have a point guard that distributes, that facilitates games, and he's really good at it. So they have good players all over the court.
All right. Thank you all. I'll have Mike James for you here shortly. Appreciate you. I know we've got a couple of hands up. If you mean to be asking a question, that's fine. If not, if you don't care to put it down, but I'll have Mike for you here in just a second. All right, everybody. I got Mike here. So go ahead and take questions. Brooks, if you want to start us.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Kenny talked about, watching the film of the last time you guys played Virginia. It was one of the best games, of the season in terms of defense. I'm just wondering, after you've had a couple games where that's been lacking. Just how big of a of a deal was it for you all to be able to go back and see moments where you are confident and you are playing at defense, and the way that Coach Payne is wanting you all to play.
It's like it reminds you like what we're capable of. So just seeing that film and then looking over it and just knowing what we can do against them and what we can do against other people is just like a good thing for us heading into this game.
And then going off that, what makes them different from the other two teams that you've played, the past week, to where you guys, did have some struggles? Like, were you seeing things that you were doing there, that just weren't, happening at these last two games?
Like you're saying, like the stuff they run, like how is it different?
Yeah, just like how are they, how did these other two teams, get you all out of sync in a way?
I think it was more of us, like ourselves, just like the lack of communication and just being locked in. I don't think it was more of like what they were running were confusing us. I just think like we weren't communicating with each other as well as we did versus the Virginia game, and we just got to keep that consistent with whoever we play. So, yeah, I think it was more of us than it was like the stuff the other teams were running.
And then I just have one more. After the game on Tuesday, Kenny said, that there were guys, who didn't show up. You said that it wasn't good enough. I'm just wondering, how have you guys been taking that here, in practice the last couple of days and getting ready for this last game of the season?
Yeah, we've been going hard. He's been on us, and like we just know we just gotta do better than we did the last game and bring more energy, bring more effort, more communication, just be more locked in as a whole coming into this last regular season game.
Let's go, Gary Grapes.
Yeah, Kenny was saying earlier about feeling frustrations, as a coach, and that he didn't want to coach frustrated. How have you kind of seen that, and when he has been frustrated, how do you kind of take it to heart? Maybe not personal, but understand what he's trying to accomplish with you all.
Like he said that to us too, like before games and stuff. Like he said, he's not gonna coach frustrated. He's gonna let us like figure it out, but he's not gonna coach us like out of frustration and stuff. And like that, we just gotta come out there and do what we're supposed to do. So yeah, like I've heard him say that stuff, and he does do that. But like sometimes he does get frustrated, and you can't like take it personal. You just gotta know that he wants the best for us, and he knows what we're capable of on the court. So. Yeah, I don't take it to heart. I don't think none of my teammates take it to heart.
Russ Brown, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, it's obvious what Virginia has to play for now with the NCAA tournament seed and the first or second place in the ACC, that seed. What do you look at as what you guys have to look forward to or to play for?
The ACC tournament, like it's a last game before the ACC tournament. Try to build some momentum going into it and try to win it all, because that's the only way we'll be able to get into the NCAA tournament. So that's what we got to look forward to. We got to aim for.
I don't see any more hands raised. Do we have any more questions for Mike? Okay. Thank you all.